Hi guys, Melinda Fargas here. Welcome to weekly travel updates. Well, one of my customers said, "You don't even tell us who you are." So I'm Melinda Fargas. I own Action Travel. I got into the travel industry when I was young. Um, and I've been in the travel industry for over 40 years. I own Action Travel, and Action Travel is located in historic downtown Mebane. Um, we had a location in Burlington for many years, and we merged it all together in Mebane. If you haven't checked out downtown Mebane, you need to come check us out. But we are Action Travel. We're a full service agency. One of the only agencies left that have a real airline system right on my desk. So, one of the advantages of using an agent like Action Travel would be that we have better control of your reservations. Um, During a recent trip to with a client stuck in Montreal, he was able to call me and I rebooked his flights before he ever got up to the counter. A small service, because if you book with Action Travel, 9 times out of 10 you have this cell phone number, and if you don't, just ask me for it. Okay, well, let me tell you what's going on, because it's been a big week. So I thought it was huge last week to tell you that Royal and Carnival were going to allow cruisers that had not been vaccinated. Um, there were specific hoops that they had to jump through, but all week long we waited for Norwegian. And today it happened. Today, Norwegian said, that's not just Norwegian, it's Norwegian and their other companies, which is Oceana and Regent 7 Sea Cruises. They announced that effective September 3rd, there's no more testing for vaccinated travelers, and non-vaccinated travelers will need to produce a negative COVID test taken within 72 hours of their arrival. And all cruisers under the age of 12 are not subject to vaccination or testing. So, for a lot of people, this is news that they've been waiting for. What do you think of that? Does it affect whether or not you will cruise next year based on what others are going to be allowed to do? Well, I'll tell you, for me, it allowed us to book our Alaska sailing. And so I proudly announced that I will be escorting a group September 12th through the 22nd. It's right there. And I am going to share that itinerary with you momentarily. Let me tell you what else is going on, because just today, a MSC ship hit a pier in Italy. Doesn't look like anybody was hurt, but they were scurrying off of that pier. Canada and Bermuda are still requiring vaccinations and testing, and there's no word of that changing. But I will tell you, Air Canada flights are in the same place they were a few weeks ago, still, with more than 30% of their flights this past week canceled or delayed. And, you've seen people joke about mountains of luggage. Well, truly, guys, there are becoming mountains of lost luggage all over the world. I said last week that Delta flew 1,000 pieces in a Boeing 757, flew it back just to get luggage back to the States that had piled up in London Heathrow, and it's all over. So I think that before I fly again, it will have air tags with it. As a matter of fact, I am going to look into some kind of affiliate links, because I think that's something that people should have going forward. You at least know whether your luggage is on the plane with you or not. So let me tell you what else. So for Alaska next year, right now, Canada is requiring you to be updated with your vaccinations for Alaska. When I came on and said that Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and now Norwegian, there are some exceptions, and Alaska happens to be one of them. However, we're not going till next September, and I do not think that if they are already taking away the protocols now, that there is a chance that they will still be doing it next year, bar some fantastic or superimposed new pandemic or strand. So, the Arrive Cam. If you are driving into Canada, flying into Canada, arriving to Canada by ship, you have to do this Arrive Cam for Canada. There are travelers who are on some of the expedition cruises who are having to do these Arrive Cams several times a week because they'll go into Vancouver Island, they'll go into Victoria, and then they may go back into Vancouver. So it is a for real thing. Do not try to drive up there without it. You will just be turned around. And now is the time of year where people are starting to go to not only the Northwest, but the Northeastern part of Canada for fall foliage. We have some great hookups for that if you're in the market. Then my friend Tony did a Norwegian solo cabin, 99 square feet. I just want to tell you, I'm not sure that I would do that. I would rather find a friend and go with. But there are several cruise lines that are doing solo cabins. On the new cabins have been refitted for Mariner of the Seas, and they will be specifically for solo cabins. They'll be smaller, but they're not always the best deal because we priced just that inside cabin and compared it to that, and they could have double the space. Well, not quite double, but nearly double the space and just have a regular inside room. And it was better than an inside solo. So not always the best. That's just one reason you should check with your favorite travel agent. Okay. I've had lots of questions about the Margaritaville, because it was one of the first cruise lines that didn't require vaccination or testing. Now, let me tell you a little bit more, because really it's just a 2-day cruise. It's not like you can't do like a 4-day or a 5-day unless you just stay on the ship, because it's going to cruise over to the Bahamas and then it's going to cruise back. So that's 2 days. What many people will do will be cruise over, get off the ship, stay at an all-inclusive or stay at a resort there, and then come back and get on the ship and cruise back in place of flying as just a different mode of transportation. Okay, let's see. With all of the cruise lines, many of which are getting back up to 100% occupancy, there is a new site that I found out about. It's called cruisetimetable.com. So you could actually see, if you were arriving into Vancouver tomorrow, whether you would be met with 3 ships, 4 ships, or 9 ships. Write this one down. It is cruisetimetable.com. I will find it very, very informative. And it'll be something that I'm looking at for customers as they're coming forward, because, man, who wants to be in, let's say, Nassau, and you have 4 mega ships, and each of them have 4,000 to 5,000 people? That's 15 to 20,000, being conservative, dumping in on Nassau in a day. Whew, that is some crowded streets. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to jump over and tell you or show you what the Alaska itinerary looks like. So the good news is, if you are booked on Alaska for this year, I'm going to protect your price. I have a handful, 5 or 6 cabins that they're going to go no matter what, whatever we choose. But if you were booked like well, you know who you are. If you were booked previously and then did not go, now I'm going to escort it next year and would love to have you join us. And here is what it's going to look like. We are gonna, this is our cruise itinerary, but what we do as our group is we privately fly into Anchorage and we spend one night in Anchorage. And then, as you will see up here, the Alaska Railroad is the service that we take to get to Denali. We spend 2 nights in Denali and we go inside Denali National Park. Then we have done one of the top 5 train trips in the world. We've been into Denali National Park and we've seen a national park with over 600,000 untouched acres. And then we go get on this wonderful Royal Caribbean cruise ship, Radiance of the Seas. Now, you'll notice that this ship is not a mega ship, and I prefer to stay not on a mega ship for Alaska. There's been lots of problems this year, and one of which were the size of these ships and the numbers of passengers in the same ports of call at the same time. So notice that on Friday, September 15th, we will leave Seward at 7 p.m. The next day, we will be cruising inside Hubbard Glacier. The captain will take us right up to the edge of the glacier, turn off everything on the ship so that we can actually hear that glacier calving. And if we're lucky, we will see smaller pieces of ice and icebergs floating by, and maybe with an otter on the top of one of them, or see a sea lion catch a fish and jump on top of one of the pieces of ice to eat it. Lots of things that we can see that day. The next day, we will be in Juneau from 11:30 in the morning until 9 p.m. This is an awesome time, guys. And with my group, we include private excursions. So I'll be chartering a bus in Juneau. And in place of just doing one excursion like Mendenhall Glacier, which is where we will start too, but on the cruise ship, they give that as a 3-hour excursion. And honestly, you don't need 3 hours there. In that same 3-hour time, we'll be able to see the Mendenhall Glacier, make great pictures, and we'll continue on to 2 other destinations. The following day, we'll be in Skagway. And yes, there was another rock slide this week in Skagway. Still no one hurt, but I imagine by September 18th of next year, we'll have a place to pull into. On that afternoon, because we're in Skagway from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m., we'll come back, and that evening it pulls into Haines, Alaska. Now, Haines, I have not been to, in 18 or 20 years. So I'm not positive what we'll see at Haines, Alaska in the evening, but remember that we're going when it's going to be daylight. So it really doesn't matter what time the clock says. We will still be able to see what there is to see in Haines, Alaska. Then on Tuesday, we'll be in Icy Strait Point, and that is a place that has the longest zip line in all of North America. I can tell you personally, because that was the excursion that Trey chose for he and I to do. It was exhilarating and awesome, and I can say I've done it. That's the end. Okay, then the next day we will be in Ketchikan from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. We again have a private excursion there, and we find unique things to take you on and show you. So what I would really like to know is we have got 7 cabins that we have got booked from this year moving to next year. We are going to make this a group of not more, like we won't get larger than 1 bus size. So we have about 18 people signed up now. We will take about another 20, and it's first come, first serve. Would love to have you join us. And if Alaska's been on your bucket list, reach out to me, Melinda Fargus. Remember, without a travel agent, you're on your own. And Action Travel, we deliver the world to you. Ciao.